In this video, we are going to be expanding and condensing logarithms. So let's get started. If you don't know what a logarithm is, I have another video in my channel where you can learn what logarithms are. But for this video, I'm going to be focusing on key rules of logarithms. First, we need to understand what a common logarithm is. A common logarithm is written as log of base 10 of x, which in any form you can always write it as just log of x. If you don't write anything in the base, it is always assumed as log base 10 of x. Another similar thing is if we say the square root of x. Even though we don't have anything for the index of the square root, it is still always implied that there is a 2 there. Now we need to understand what a natural logarithm is. A natural log is log base e of x. Log base e of x can be written as ln of x. E stands for Euler's number, and E is approximately 2.718. And for our final one, you only need to use this in computer science, but we also have binary logarithms. Binary logarithms are written as log base 2 of x. So these are just called binary logarithms. Okay, now that we have each type of log written down, we can now start learning about the key rules of logarithms. First, we need to understand the product rule. The product rule is stated like this. Log base b of xy is equal to log base b of x plus log base b of y. Notice how the multiplication inside of the logarithm becomes the addition on the outside. This is the product rule. Now we can start learning about the quotient rule. The quotient rule is log base b of x over y. Log base b of x over y equals log base b of x minus log base b of y. Notice how the division inside becomes a subtraction on the outside. That is our second rule called the quotient rule. And for our final and last rule, it is the power rule. The power rule is stated as log base b of x to the power of k is equal to k multiplied by log base b of x. Notice how the exponent can be moved to the front as multipliers. These are the 3 logarithmic rules. But notice how they always have to have the same base. It is very key to know that for when you are condensing logarithms, the base must always be the same. Otherwise, these rules will not apply. Okay, now we can start doing our first question. Log base 2 of 6xy over z. First, let's apply our second rule. Our second rule states log base b of x divided by y equals log base b of x minus log base b of y. So that would turn this equation into log base 2 of 6xy minus log base 2 of z. Now, on to the next step. We still have the 6x and y. Now we go to our first rule, the product rule. The product rule states log base b of xy equals log base b of x plus log base b of y. So this would mean log base 2 of 6 plus log base 2 of x plus log base 2 of y minus log base 2 of z. And this is our final answer. On to the next question. Okay, so for this question, I can already see things that can be simplified. First and foremost, this y, the square root of y, can be written as y to the power of 1/2. So let's go and change that. So log base 2 of ax squared times y to the power of 1/2 over z to the power of 4. Now we can start expanding our logarithm. First, we would have duplicate and duplicate. First, we would have log base 2 of 8x squared times y to the power of 1/2 minus log base z to the power of 4. Then this would turn into log base 2 of log base 2 of 8 plus log base 2 of x squared plus log base 2 of y to the power of 1/2 minus log base 2 to the power of z to the power of 4. And now we apply the product rule. No, not the product rule, the power rule to everything. But first this becomes a 3, so 3 plus 2 log base 2 of x plus 1/2 log base 2 of y minus 4 log base 2 of z. And this is our answer. Okay, this seems kind of hard, but it's pretty easy. First, this gets this. Actually, if you want to pause the video and you want to answer this question by yourself, you're welcome to pause. Okay, so this gets turned to b cubed over c to the power of 4 times d to the power of 5 and everything to the power of 1/2. So what does this mean for our log equation, or log polynomial, or whatever you want to call it? This means that 1/2 will be multiplied to everything. So let's expand everything out while we're at it. So log base a of b cubed minus, and then another parentheses, log base a of c to the power of 4 plus log base a to the power of d to the power of 5. Okay, time for the second step. Now we have to simplify the inside even more. So product rule, this becomes 3 log a b, and then minus 4 log a of c, and then plus and minus, so distribute, minus 5 log a of d. So this is our second one, and time for the last step where we multiply out everything. Three over 2 times log AB and then minus 2. Oh wait, I forgot to duplicate this. And then minus 5 over 2 log base A of D. And that is our second answer. Time for the next one. Okay. So for this one, this is really simple. Log base 4 of x cubed plus 2 minus log base 4 of 16. And then this becomes log base 4 of x cubed plus 2 minus 2. And that's our simplified. Okay, on to the next question. So now we have to condense logarithms. So this logarithm is basically the same thing as before here. So, yeah. So since these two are adding, this is one group and this is one group. So that would mean this is log base a of x, y over m. So this is our answer. On to the next question. First, we need to apply the opposite of the power rule to everything for this. So log base a of m to the m squared plus 1/2, not 1/2, log base a of root p minus log base a of n to the power of 5. And now, since this is a group and this is a group, this becomes log base a of m squared root p over n to the power of 5. And this is our second answer. Time for our last two questions. Okay, so log base. This becomes. Okay, so first we apply the power rule. So log base m of square root p cubed and q to the power of 4 minus log m p to the p4q3 q3 squared and then the root 3. Yeah. Now we simplify. So q squared times p, and then the square root of p, minus log base m of the cube root of p to the power of 8 and q to the power of 6. So this becomes p to the power of 8. So 6 divided by 3 is 2. So this becomes p squared times q squared times the cube root of p squared. And now for the final step, it's log base m of this over this. And this is our answer. And this is just some typical foiling, so log base b of 2y plus 5 minus log base b of y plus 3 squared. So log base b of y squared plus 6x plus 9. And this is our final answer. Okay, and that's the last question. So to review these are the three rules. Log base b of x times y equals log base b of x plus log base b of y. The second rule is log base b of x over y equals log base b of x minus log base b of y. And then the third power rule is log base b of x to the power of k, which equals k times log base b of x. And it's always important to keep the bases all the same. Okay, and thank you for watching.